howdy, hey, how is everybody doing, and welcome back to Disney Daily. Clarabelle is an anthropomorphic cow that was created by company legends Walt Disney and Iwerks. The character in her earliest forms was always shown in a cowbell as an accessory similar to jewelry, and she was regularly depicted with an actual cow's udder. She was also presented as a more serious character who was very prim, proper, and even a bit stuck up. She was also shown as the best friend to Mickey and Minnie, but also the girlfriend to Horace Horsecollar in the older cartoons. In fact, she and Horace were Mickey and Minnie's original friends before Donald and Goofy were established reoccurring characters. Clarabelle emerged as a popular and prominent character in the 30s, but was then quickly forgotten about towards the end of Disney's golden age, but has seen a comeback in the 21st century, mostly on television. Now, although the character has become lesser known, I would say her presence has helped contribute to the amazing lineup that we know to be the Disney animated characters. So in honor of one of Disney's most classic characters, here is the development of Clarabelle Cow on screen. Clarabelle Cow made her first appearance on screen in 1928 in two of the first Mickey Mouse cartoon shorts, Plain Crazy and Steamboat Willie. In both of the shorts, Clarabelle would be depicted as a regular dairy cow rather than the anthropomorphic one we know her to be. She's also shown on all fours and with an udder. Now, although Clarabelle remained unnamed in the cartoons, many believe these appearances to be the start of Clarabelle's career on screen. The next year, she appeared in a short called The Plowboy, which happened to feature her future love interest Horace, although in this particular cartoon, the two would never appear on screen together at the same time. In the short, Clarabelle is depicted as Minnie Mouse's livestock, whereas Horace is depicted as Mickey's. In the cartoon, she would remain nameless and appear as a regular dairy cow once again, but would start to display more human-like tendencies such as standing on two legs. The year 1930 would be a big year for Clarabelle for multiple reasons. In April, she would finally be given her name in a Mickey Mouse comic story called Mickey Mouse Goes to Death Valley, which was temporarily written by Walt himself. That same month, Clarabelle would be seen in another Mickey Mouse short called The Barnyard Concert, which is the first time Clarabelle and Horace would be featured on screen together. And in July, Clarabelle would finally be recognized as an official character on screen in the cartoon short called The Shindig. What's really significant about this short is that it's the first time we see Clarabelle wearing clothing. Additionally, this cartoon would mark the beginning of Horace and Clarabelle's romantic relationship, which we would continue to see develop throughout the years, especially in the comics, such as in 1931 when we witnessed Clarabelle and Horace getting engaged in one particular cartoon strip. Now, between the years 1930 and 1942, Clarabelle would appear in a couple of different Mickey Mouse cartoons, more often than not with Horace at her side, and I will name a few of the most notable. In 1931's short The Birthday Party, we would see Clarabelle Cow in one of her more signature looks on screen, a solid colored long skirt. In 1933's short Mickey's Gala Premiere, she is seen getting out of Mickey's limousine in a long dress, and she is accompanied by her boyfriend Horace. In 1934's Orphans Benefit, she appears alongside Horace and Goofy as they all perform a dance number on stage in front of a crowd of orphans who have all gathered to see the show. Fun fact, Clarabelle in later years would be depicted as Goofy's girlfriend rather than Horace's, so it's very interesting to see the three together knowing what the future would hold. In 1935, Clarabelle would be seen in color for the first time in the classic short The Band Concert. Clarabelle is the only female character in the short, and I would argue that this is the first time we see her being flirty with Goofy, which leads me to believe animators started to consider the two together very early on. Now, one last short I want to mention is 1942's Mickey's Birthday Party, where she is seen very briefly. Now, what's interesting is that after 1942's short Symphony Hour, Clarabelle's next two appearances were brief cameos and did not happen until 40 years later. The first one was in the movie Mickey's Christmas Carol, which was actually the first time most of the characters had been seen on screen since the passing of Walt Disney. In this film, she is seen for a very brief moment as a guest dancing at the party with her boyfriend Horace. Her second cameo came in 1988's movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where she is seen standing amongst various cartoon characters at the very end of the movie. It was during the 90s that Clarabelle would start to emerge again as a prominent and reoccurring character. First, in 1990, she would appear as a peasant briefly in the extended short The Prince and the Pauper. This short is very interesting for two main reasons in particular. The first being that this was the first time Clarabelle had a significant speaking role on screen, and the second reason being that Clarabelle would be the only female character represented throughout the whole entire movie. In 1999, she would appear in the various cartoon shorts on Mickey Mouse Works, and I would argue her being on this show was her most significant appearance yet because it would lead to a larger role in the next cartoon cartoon series called House of Mouse. Here she is depicted as a gossip queen and a regular visitor at the popular club, and in this series, she is shown as Goofy's love interest. Now, 3 years later, after House of Mouse in 2004, she would appear in the movie The Three Musketeers. Here, Clarabelle actually takes on an unfamiliar role as one of the villains and works alongside the evil Captain Pete. In the movie, Goofy falls madly in love with Clarabelle, whose mission is to throw him off the bridge and drown him. But instead, she ends up falling for the goof and warning him about Pete's twisted and evil plans. In the mid-2000s, Clarabelle would get her first 3D design in the early Kingdom Hearts game and then on screen in the popular TV show Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, where she is seen frequently alongside the Sensational Six. After her success in Clubhouse, animators would bring her back for a larger role in the spin-off series Minnies Bow Tunes, where she is seen alongside her friends Minnie and Daisy. In 2013, Clarabelle would appear in a fun short called Get a Horse, which paid tribute to the old cartoon days of the 20s. The cartoon was both in hand-drawn animation as well as CG. That same year, she would have frequent appearances in the Mickey Mouse cartoons by Paul Reddish. Here she is in a more stylized version of her classic 1930s look and appears to be linked romantically to Horace once again. Clarabelle's most recent appearance has been in the 2017 show Mickey's Roadster Racers, which debuted on Disney Junior. In this cartoon, Clarabelle is shown in her clubhouse design, but it seems to be more refined. Clarabelle is shown as Goofy's girlfriend throughout the show. However, she does seem flirtatious with Horace from time to time. Well, that concludes this episode of Disney Daily. I hope you all learned something new about Clarabelle Cow. I really hope we see more of her in the future. She seems to be a character that has a lot of potential, but for some reason doesn't get used as often as she should. Let me know down in the comments which obscure character you would like to know more about next. As always, thanks for being my guest here at Disney Daily. Until next time.